mainly because his birth was the one that sent his beloved mother skyward. Very sad.
I can't lie, bro. Back in the day, they was f***ing 10 people. My mama had 13 kids. Why were y'all f***ing so much? And we back with another video on the channel, baby. BryceDaBadger back again, man. And we here with the most ridiculous deaths in history by chat history. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel, man. Like the video. I ain't even talking about mine. I'm talking about his. It's in the description if you didn't know. It's always going to be in the description. You should know this by now. I react to stuff, you know. They got to be in the description. You think I'm just not going to credit people? That's crazy.
The silliest deaths in history.
Let's do it.
Part 2.
Jesse W. Lazier.
In a world of constant scientific revolution and innovation, it's required that any new theories be put to the test with reliable and repeatable proofs.
Right.
Otherwise, you're about as useful as
you got to get Sonic to eat one of those.
That proof
if you fuck
puts
with it,
people
then
in harm's way.
It's good enough.
Take, for instance, one Jesse William Lazier. This handsome block of cheddar was an American physician in the late 1800s, though he did live to see the new century, just not for very long.
All right.
But we'll get to that in a bit. Growing from a well-to-do boy into a well-to-do man, Lazier had a passion for helping the ill and minimizing all of the icky sickies that had plagued humanity throughout history. So he took that passion and put it to good use, receiving his doctorate in medicine from Columbia University in 1892. Upgrading himself from graduate to practicing physician in 1895, Lazier focused his studies on two major diseases, the infectious malaria and the deadly yellow fever, both of which were stirring up all kinds of problems in the late 1800s, the worst of which being that people were dying. But exactly how these diseases were being spread so easily, particularly in the southern United States and in the Caribbean, remained a mystery for a few more years at least. Well, that's not exactly true. You see, about 14 years earlier, Cuban public health professional disease researcher guy Carlos Finlay came up with a theory. He proposed that some diseases, particularly yellow fever, could be transmitted through the bite of a single infected mosquito. It's a rather simple theory. An itty-bitty mosquito bites an infected monkey, acquires the yellow fever, flies away, finds a healthy human, gives the suck and leaves behind yellow fever, and the cycle continues. Now, if you've ever spent more than 2 seconds in the American South, you know just how bad them little shits can get. So if there's a few infected people and a lot of mosquitoes, things are going to spread faster than a bad joke at a dad convention. Oh, come on. I'm hungry. He said it. Finlay laid out his research and presented his mosquito theory to the scientific community,
I'm dead.
opting for control over the mosquito population to minimize the spread. And they all laughed at him. All them stupid science bitches ridiculed and mocked Finlay's theory, brushing it off as complete nonsense.
I never understood why. What would make you think that that's nonsense? I know it's way back when, but like realistically, just think about it for a second. A mosquito biting something that's infected, then biting somebody else that's not infected, and then giving the infection to that person. You dead ass think that's just not possible? These niggas was on fucking crack, bro. Cocaine. I don't know, bro. They was on something, bro. Shit. These niggas is idiots. They used to hand out meth to people to keep them alive in war. So these niggas was doing anything, bro. Even though this is like, I think that's like World War II, World War I. I think that's World War I. Either way, bro, niggas was bugging.
But now we fast forward more than a decade, and a very confident Lazier was willing to put that theory to the test. On himself.
Oh,
right,
no.
Here's an infected skater, and here's an uninfected me. So, if it bites me and I get infected, well, there you go. And so, in September of 1900, Lazier was deliberately bitten by an infected mosquito. He contracted yellow fever and died several days later. But his sacrifice would not be in vain, as it confirmed Finlay's theory, subsequently revolutionizing the control of yellow fever, including controlling the mosquito population.
But it's really like that story about that lawyer that was trying to prove like, hey, something wrong with the gun. The gun just went off and he killed somebody. Or no, he went off and he either killed somebody or killed himself. Or somebody killed themselves with his gun. Something like that, bro. And they was just like, no, that's bullshit, And he was like, where? I'm gonna just prove it. And then the nigga shot himself. He shot himself and he died. In the courtroom, he died, shot himself. Instant death. The nigga got off. The guy got off, but instant death for the lawyer. Like, it was crazy.
The age of exploration saw a lot of exploring from many a capable sea captain. But amongst the Columbuses and Marco Polos of history, some have fallen through the cracks, their deeds and accomplishments forgotten to time, or just not important enough for people to care.
Facts.
Johnny Kendrick was one such captain. Ever since growing up aboard Papa
what
Kendrick's
the fuck?
whaling vessel in his teenage years, John had a love of the sea, which explains the vast success he found in his later years. This guy was more American than he strapped apple pie asking for a tip. A member of the American Sons of Liberty, Kendrick personally took part in the famous Boston Tea Party, hucking countless crates of precious British life fuel into the harbor.
For the record, now that I'm looking back on this, I'm thinking about it. I don't fuck with the fact that they tried to make Indians look, not Indians, Native American. They tried to make Native Americans look bad. They tried to make Native Americans look bad. White people, they've been doing that shit. You think everybody in them riots was black?
He also commanded a privateer ship during the American Revolution, attacking and capturing British warships with his crew of 104 men, even going as far as helping convince the French to join the fight. After helping America get its independence, Kendrick took to the seas once more, this time on a more exploratory venture. Teaming up with famous explorer ship-sailing captain fellow Robert Gray, whom you've probably never heard of,
Nope.
the two bros made history, leading the first U.S. expedition to the Pacific Northwest, where they established a strong fur
They
trade
took a
route.
long-ass
This was
route,
mainly
didn't they?
trading goods like mirrors and knives to purchase sea otter pelts from local natives. Hey, gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
No! There was
Kendrick
an
also
otter
made
right
himself a
there. My
home
head's in the
Hawaii
way.
in the late 1700s.
I think I'm gonna
There,
move
he
my
built up a
face.
pretty lucrative sandalwood trade hub, harvesting the wood in Hawaii and shipping it off to China, who treasured the luscious lumber for its durability, medicinal and therapeutic properties, and of course, its smell. Oh, that's good wood. So Kendrick spent many a year just jamming as much of his
we
wood
go.
as he could into China's
Holy
trading
fuck.
ports, skipping back and forth across the Pacific Pond between mainland China and the Hawaiian Islands. But Hawaii, historically speaking, often had a bunch of fighting between chiefs of the different islands. Each chief, understandably enough, wanted to expand their respective territories and influence. Well, when returning to the islands in 1794, Kendrick found Hawaii to be in complete turmoil, with two chiefs duking it out to be the big chief in charge.
Okay.
One of the tribes was being supplied by Captain William Brown,
Oi!
a proper Brit who was willing to get some
knew
land
it.
for the British crown.
Oi!
Kendrick replied he too supplied a chief of great renown.
You son of
and
a
put to
bitch.
the test, Kendrick did his best to smack the captain down.
I
So
got
in
you.
December of 1794, a battle commenced with Captain Brown supporting the chief of Oahu
Damn.
and Kendrick supporting the chief
Oh
of
my
Hawaii.
God! Do y'all see them people
you.
down there?
The tropical tussle
Y'all see
ended
them? Y'all see them people
with
down there, bro? Just falling off the man. Off the hill you go. Like, what the fuck?
Kendrick's side being victorious, inspiring him to celebrate the only way a true American knows how, by firing off loud guns.
Oh no.
As planned,
I
Kendrick's
think
ship
I've
had
heard of
ignited
this.
a volley of cannon fire. Although his side had lost, Captain Brown, determined to uphold proper British etiquette, agreed to discharge a volley of his own cannons in Kendrick's honor. Oh, this turtle soup is to die for.
Turtles. Oh my God.
That's what you get for slurping your soup. Ugh, turns out in a complete honest mistake, Captain Brown forgot to unload shot from one of his cannons before firing it off. Some historical accounts claim that great
Was it a
shot
mistake,
tore
though?
through Kendrick's cabin, creating complete chaos and quickly killing the competent captain as he crunched on a collation of consumables. Oh, sorry about
This
that.
nigga's alliteration is insane. Jack Daniel.
Yep, that Jack Daniel. The two first-name having freak who founded the famous Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey Company. You know, that succulent spirit that did, will, or is getting you through those tough college days or life in general. That's the one. Well, little Jackie Boy was born in Tennessee in the mid-1800s as the youngest of 10, mainly because his birth was the one that sent his beloved mother skyward. Very sad.
I can't lie, bro. Back in the day, they was fucking 10 people. My mama had 13 kids. Why were y'all fucking so much? Jeez Louise. I'm just asking the question.
Now, unfortunately, not much is known about Jack's early life because them town records don't went caught fire. Most of the insight that we do have into Jack's life actually comes from the Jack Daniels Company historical records. Teeny tiny Jack, the youthful entrepreneur that he was, yearned for work at the ripe old age of 8. The man to answer Jack's call was this guy, Dan Call, a preacher, a screecher, and one distilling creature.
Man, that's
and of
Doug
course, it
Dimmadome.
would be here that Jack would find his calling. Something about Jack caught Dan's eye, and he saw real potential in the little tyke. This boy's gonna make a fine whiskey one day, I tell you what. And so, according to company history, an 8-year-old Jack began learning the art and science of distillation from one Nathan Green, a master distiller and slave under Dan Call.
God damn!
Fast forward several years, and Dan hit a crossroad. Given an ultimatum by his wife, Dan had to choose between his relationship with his tasty spirits or the Holy Spirit. The Reverend chose his Lord and Savior, saving his soul and his liver in the process. In that choice, Dan had sold his pride.
Why is his mustache just getting bigger, dog?
Pupil, Jack Daniel, whose first act as new owner was to hire on his friend and mentor Nathan Green as the company's master distiller. He also employed Nathan's 2 adult sons and, later down the line, his grandsons. Now, the Jack Daniels website.
Whoa, that was Jack himself right there? Okay, that's Jack. That's Jack right here. He right beside the boy. Look, my boy. He right beside my nigga. Yeah, my nigga.
Sons and, later down the line, his grandsons.
Well, his nigga.
Now, the Jack Daniels website really emphasizes that Jack never owned slaves. So if you disagree, don't look at me. I'm just a guy on the internet. A man of all business and no pleasure, Jack never married nor had any children of his own. He did, however, take his nephews under his wing to learn the business, eventually handing the distillery down to them in 1907 once his health bar had reached a solid yellow.
That nigga was not playing,
bro. It would be a few years later in 1911 before Jack would kick the bucket, or in this case, something much heavier. According to legend, Jack Daniel, now in his 60s or so, had forgotten the combination to a personal safe housing a bunch of valuables like safes are typically designed to do. In his frustration, Jack tried to solve the problem in true U.S. Southerner fashion by putting a boot up its ass.
I thought he would have shot it. I thought he was going to shoot it.
Of literal steel, Jack instead broke his toe,
causing
a severe blood infection.
No,
Jack Daniel
that's how he
reportedly died of blood poisoning on October 9th, 1911. But is this story true?
I don't know. Yeah, right. I don't know. Shit. That's crazy,
Here's
though.
A rather recent one for you. Back in 1993,
metal and died.
when the world was witnessing the birth of the internet, Czechoslovakia was checking out, and President Clinton was gearing up to suck or be sucked at his job.
All right.
Gary Hoy was about to meet his untimely death. An extremely successful business partner and corporate and securities law specialist for the Holden Day Wilson law firm in Toronto, Canada, Gary was living it up. But he would quickly learn that it's a long fall from the top. Gary had a reputation as a very personable guy, always loving to talk to people, share wisdom, and loved cracking a few jokes here and there.
Shout out
but on July
Gary.
9th, 1993, one of Gary's jokes would fall flat.
Don't.
While attending a reception in the office on a
this
Friday, Gary decided to give a tour of the office to a group of accounting and law students, which of course was a typical routine for
I know y'all probably heard of this one too.
But what happens next would be cemented in the minds of everyone around him.
It's so stupid.
While on the tour of the 24th floor office, Gary decided to whip out his signature move. Boasting about the structural integrity of Canadian architecture and the seemingly unbreakable glass office windows, Gary charged full speed towards one of said windows, a party trick he apparently had performed successfully many times in the past. Typical Gary. But this time, he was also successful. Gary bounced right off of the glass without a hitch, to the applause and laughter of the students. Y'all wanna see me do it again? Yeah! No, not really. Gary was about to push
Listen to the no, not really guy, please.
Too hard on the window. Gary charged once more.
You should have tried a different window, probably.
Now, to his credit, the glass didn't break, but the entire window frame dislodged from its
setting. That is so crazy. That is so nuts.
A full 24 stories to his death.
Like. You can't sue. As a family, you can't even fucking sue. Cause this R.I.P. to bro, but like this dumbass nigga decided to run full speed into a damn window. You can't. There's no suing right there. That's just a dumbass decision.
The students and various colleagues stood paralyzed and horror-struck after witnessing Gary's fall. Not to mention the witnesses on the ground where
the glass
Hoy's
break
body had landed. Following the incident, many of the firm's lawyers received professional counseling, but some chose to part ways with the company.
But did the glass break though?
Full closure in 1996. Talk about having a falling out.
But did the glass break on the ground? That's what I need to know.
Each of us wants to accomplish our own big motivational concrete goals before crossing the eternal finish line.
Of course.
A loving family, traveling the world, subscribing to this channel, which you can do right now. But as the Rolling Stones once said, you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, I forget the rest. Anyway, this is Frank Hayes, and he has his own goal.
What's going on, Frank?
A race. A horse race. Problem is, though, he is no professional
man.
jockey. A young Irish fella born in Ireland in 1901,
What?
Frank grew up as a stable boy
happening?
and eventually an apprentice horse trainer under James Frayling, a wealthy gent who owned and bred professional racing horses.
Howdy.
Paying close attention to Frank's rather small stature, Frayling gave Frank an opportunity to race as a jockey.
Okay.
And he lost. But apparently not too bad, because he was given a second chance in 1923. One small snag in this plan, however, was that Frank was a tad too heavy. Jockeys were required to weigh less than 130 pounds in order to qualify for racing. Ideally, the slimmer and sleeker your jockey is, the less of a burden he is for the horse, allowing for a higher potential speed. Less mass, go fast. And so Frank was given a doozy of a task. Lose 12 pounds in a few days.
Oh,
that's a big ask for someone already in a healthy weight range, but Frank was determined to strap in the saddle once more. Through what I can only imagine were extremely unhealthy choices, the frail Frank ended up making the cut and was given the thumbs up to participate in the race.
Now what happened?
He was nowhere near expected to win, with him and his horse only given 20-1 odds.
Damn.
On June 4th, 1923, Frank
I don't even know
mounted
what
his
that mean for
horse
real.
named Sweet
Look at
Kiss
this
and
nigga,
prepared
dog.
to travel around the track.
This nigga's skin and
The
bones.
racers were off, and Sweet Kiss quickly trailed behind the group. However, in the final stretch, Sweet Kiss apparently kicked in maximum overdrive and managed to close the gap.
Oh, he
with
looked like
Frank
those.
appearing locked in, closely hugging the horse's
That
neck.
nigga's dead.
In an extreme upset, Sweet Kiss actually won the
That
race by
nigga's
a
dead.
pretty respectable lead.
How did he
But
die
after
on the
dropping
horse?
From a gallop to a canter to a walk, Frank was still closely gripping the steed. Frank Hayes was dead.
How?
During the race, Frank's heart gave out,
Holy.
presumably from the extreme and unhealthily fast weight drop sustained to get into the race in the first place. So yeah, Sweet Kiss carried a corpse across the finish line. Frank Hayes photo finished into the great beyond at the age of 22.
22?
Or 35, depending on whatever source you read.
That's still
I know
too
that's
young.
a big discrepancy, but welcome to history. Unfortunately, Sweet Kiss, now superstitiously dubbed Sweet Kiss of Death, never ran another race as jockeys refused to mount the mare, fearing a similar fate. So of course, it was the end of her show, and she got her final curtain call.
That's
Speaking
crazy,
of which,
bro.
that's the end of this video. Want me to eventually make a part 3? Let me know with a comment.
That's nuts, bro. Shout out Chat History. That was a great video, man. These don't do stupid shit, guys. Don't do stupid shit. If you like the video, subscribe if you fuck with the vibe. Original video is in the description, like I say all the time. That kind of rhyme. I'm doing my thing. Okay, bye. Let me get the fuck out of here, bro.